Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My guest today is Anna Gradie. We're going to be talking about women in tech. Everybody thinks that tech is just for men, and it's just not so. She said about 5 years ago, her husband of 15 years left her for a 25-year-old nanny. A sad story that we hear way too often. She was completely shattered and hired a coach to help her pick up the pieces and put her life back together. She began the journey of self-discovery, a personal growth of the support of by a coach. Coaching saved her life both personally and professionally. In her role as a co-founder at the COO of EdTech company, RI COR, she noticed that a huge gender gap in the industry. Despite her goal to employing diverse and inclusive development team, female developers were still being grossly underrepresented. And in almost 11 years of rapid revenue growth, only 15% of the total number of software developers hired by companies were women. She was also the only woman on the huge and the inclusive development team. Female developers were absolutely left out of the equation. So what is it that we're going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about how to bring women into this male-dominated environment, how being a strong introvert can make it even worse. It took 2020 for her to exit from the company that she had built, starting by her own coaching business. She decided to focus on coaching, on supporting women in tech, navigating their male-dominated industry. And in her coaching conversations, she kept hearing back on the confidence of the number one reason why women are held back from thriving in tech is that they struggled with self-confidence as well. And so with Confidence Coach Women in Tech, her mission is to help those gender confidence gap to accelerate equality in the tech industry by empowering women. We have AI now, we have so many different beautiful industries and abilities there today. And quite honestly, does anybody care who's behind it on the other side? It's about how do we use tech? How can we use it to our best advantage? That there's a lot of male-dominated industries out there, and they're kind of being shaken up at the present moment because they know that many, many women are stepping into their roles and doing it very, very well. So it's an insecurity on their half because to keep it the boys' club, right? And a little insecurity on the women saying, but I'm capable, but how do I penetrate this club? I say go and form a new club. What do you say, Ella?
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for having me on your show today. Yeah, I think tech is a great space for women, and it can be hard to get your first foot in the door, to get that first opportunity. But we need more women in tech. We need more diversity in tech for the safety of our world. Tech is in all of our products that we use every day. We
Mm.
need that full scope of humanity to be reflected in technology. So my mission is to support women get into tech and thrive in tech.
Yes. And it doesn't matter how good they are at their job. And you generally find people that are in tech are a little more introverted because, it's a very focused development, a lot of coding, a lot of understanding how things are put together and work. And so it isn't generally for the extroverted person who's more the outgoing gregarious. So it's having to find that balance and bring that other side of you out that can open up those doors and say, not only am I capable, but I'm here, see me.
100%. And introverts, we struggle to stand up for ourselves sometimes and to have a voice and to put ourselves forward, advocate for ourselves at work and at home.
Mm.
And I feel like the world celebrates extroversion. So sometimes we feel like we get left behind. We can struggle with confidence and kind of staying up for ourselves. So I help women with tools to be able to thrive, regardless of their introvert, extrovert, ambivert, whatever it is, to have a voice in that male dominated environment.
So how do we do that? I mean, let's look back to women's lib, burn the bra. Was that really the thing to do? It was a statement, I understand, and women have been trying to get into male-dominated businesses forever. We look back in history of some of the women who have created the greats, including the computer, yet never was their name on anything because it was deemed if it was done by a woman, it wouldn't be done right. But it was all about male ego. So how do we really face the male ego? Because that's what we're facing. It's got nothing to do with capabilities. It is that male ego.
Yeah, I think there needs to be more women at the top in tech, like female
Mm,
role models. Mentorship is huge,
mm,
coaching is huge,
yeah,
and kind of breaking down those barriers. There's a gender pay gap that's particularly
yes,
strong in tech. Things like that need to be abolished at the
yes.
company level, at the societal level, so that women have equal footing in tech.
You can do the job, you get paid to do the job. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you are. I mean, now we're looking, at binary and transgender and everything else, is that there is really, no genderization in the workforce. You can either do the job or not do the job. And that's really what you should be paid for.
Yeah. And research shows that diversity actually helps revenue. It helps the
Mm,
bottom line. It's good for business to be
yeah.
diverse.
I think those barriers are slowly being broken down because I'm a 70s chick. That's the era of my 20s, and so it was a very male dominated, very male chauvinistic world, and it was really hard to get ahead in any industry. I was the first woman rep to work for Mobil Oil. I didn't know anything about oil, but I knew about customer service.
Wow.
But I still had the problems of other men feeling I don't know, I was in their way. And it was difficult to navigate that in any industry I went into because it was such a male dominated. And the moment that you start to shine or they start seeing you do well, or maybe people are talking to you and not them, it becomes an insecurity. And, I think it's a call out to men right now is, embracing your manhood is to embrace your own insecurity and do something about it, right? It isn't our fault that you feel this way, though you might blame mama or grandma or sisters or going back in the ancestry, is that we're here to stay and we're here to grow. And it is about your insecurity that you need to deal with. Is it something that's just been passed down? Is it something that you're brought up with? Is it something you generally fear? And for women, it's the same thing, is that just because you have been suppressed all this time doesn't mean you have to accept that now. And it doesn't mean that you have to go on wearing the trouser suit and acting like a man in order to get into what is perceived as a man's world. It's both sides need to kind of reassess themselves, don't they?
Yeah. And I always say it's really that balance of empathy and assertiveness
Mhm.
that we need to have more effective communication to tap into both parts of ourselves,
Yeah.
that assertive part that can stand up and that empathetic part that can put ourselves in someone else's shoes. It's
Yes.
both areas that we need to strengthen to succeed as women and men.
Right. When men see that we're capable of doing the job and we carry the same burden, it almost reduces their burden. I don't have to be it all, right?
Yeah.
And that, women have been known through the history of time to carry many things at once because we're just created as multitaskers and not to be intimidated, intimidating to men because we can do that. It's just the way we're wired.
Yep. And we need male allies, and so many men support women in the tech
Yes.
industry, and we need that.
Yes. And to realize the asset of that, a multitasking, but also being able to see very often the creative direction the tech can go in. Because, as women, especially if you're a mother, you're not managing one thing, you're managing a dozen things at one time. But that gives us that projection of understanding what's needed. And then that projection in tech is not, you're not just doing now, you're perceiving where it can go. And that is an asset to any company.
100%. A lot of my clients are mothers in tech, and a lot of them are in survival mode, frankly,
Yeah,
juggling children, juggling work, all the household responsibilities, plus showing up for their job. And it's really, really hard to manage it all. So it really starts with prioritizing yourself, putting
yeah.
your own oxygen mask on first
Mm.
so that you can show up the best for your loved ones, for your colleagues, and for your family.
I always say it's about juggling the balls. Don't juggle them all at time. Just leave some up in the air. Which is the ball I need to deal with right now? And you get to a point where you can one, two juggle, then you can take the third one. But if you're trying to do it all at once, you're going to drop those balls. So you know they're up there. What's the priority in the moment?
I love that. And I always say, give yourself permission to drop a ball or two.
Yes,
Things
yes,
do not need to be 100% at.
exactly. As long as everybody's still standing, fine, right? Would you say that women do bring to the workforce, whether they're mothers or just women in general, a different approach, a different vision?
Well, everybody's different, of course,
Mhm.
but on the scientifically validated emotional intelligence assessment that I run with my clients, women tend to have more empathy than men. That's the
Mhm.
one character trait or one EQ competency that tends to be higher with women. But other than that, I feel like we can learn from everybody and everybody brings something to the table. And whether male, female, or any of the other genders, we all have something of value to contribute. And we need to listen to all of the voices, even the quiet ones.
That's the big word. Listen, right? You know, when you're around that table, kind of troubleshooting or having creative moments or looking at possibilities, there is no idea that's a stupid idea. It may not be achievable, but has that idea sparked another idea? And we've got to listen to each other. If somebody said, well, I've tried this, well, how does that work? Well, I don't know, but I think I did this and I did that. And it's like, listen, because in all those beautiful nuggets, and if somebody feels shy or insecure, they're not going to bring those ideas to the table. And all those ideas need to be put on the table. And you may laugh at some, and you may, this is wonderful, but hell, that's a good idea. How do we make that happen?
Yeah, and so many times we stop ourselves from sharing our ideas. We
Yeah.
judge ourselves before we even open our
Hmm.
mouth. This idea isn't perfect, so I'm not going to share it. That's a waste of amazing,
I
innovative
know.
ideas.
Because that idea isn't for you to come to the table with the whole package. It's an idea. Right now, in intriguing others with that idea, they now step up into their own creative juices and go, that's a great idea. What if? Instead of what if they reject me? What if they feel I'm an idiot? Instead of what if other people can see it and where it can go? Change our tonnage.
Exactly. And I love this brainstorming exercise, the yes and game.
Hmm.
Yes, I like your idea. I like this about your idea, and versus
Yes.
yes,
Hmm. Yeah. I always say sit on your butt. That's the only thing it's good for.
but.
But we do as women, don't we? We're inclined to, but we're inclined to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't be everything today. Goddess, mother, lover, code of this, that, you're not meant to be. Again, it's all about that priority of the balls that you have in hand at the moment. And is that we give ourselves such a hard time for not being perfect at absolutely everything, but that is not, what it's about.
Yeah, that's key. Stop apologizing.
Yeah.
We apologize. Sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
this sounds stupid, but we're
Mm.
constantly apologizing for everything. And it takes away from our confidence. And we aren't taken as seriously when we're constantly saying, I'm sorry.
I think I call it the what if syndrome. What if? And what if with wonderment? The what if is the invitation. What if we did this and then it opens up to everyone else? Yeah, what if? But we go to the other what if? What if I'm rejected? Um, and that I think it comes down to the environment that you're working in. You want an environment that is inclusive. You want an environment that is here to hear everybody's ideas. Is wanting to expand and grow with everyone's ideas. This whole thing that it's just got to be basically one person, a CEO or whatever, that's conducting. Well, if he doesn't understand the musicians, he's not going to conduct the music very well. So you've got to let your music be heard.
Yeah. And like you said, that
Yeah.
listening to your team and implementing their innovative ideas. And the loudest voices in the room aren't always right.
If it's just an idea, it's just an idea. It's where can it go? I mean, we know with technology today, whew, we're wings are showing. Technology with AI and tech in anything is just going at such lightning speeds, but we're not. We seem to be tortoising along in our development instead of like, let's put all of that insecurity, I'm unworthy, and what will other people think of me? Let's let that go because that's the rubber band holding you back,
Yeah.
right? You could keep up with technology because, quite honestly, I know people are creating the tech, but then the tech seems to have wings of its own, right? We could keep up with it if we could let go of all that other stuff.
Yeah. Yes, that fear of failure really gets in the way. I always say the definition of confidence is being willing to try and
Hmm.
framing failure as feedback.
Failure is giving up, giving in, right? I just call every mistake a redirect. It's a redirect. You now know what doesn't work. So now you get back up and try another direction.
Yeah. As long as you're willing to try, the sky's the limit.
And we don't know what we're capable of or what we can achieve until we try it. And if we tried it and of course that didn't work, okay, that's not for me. All right. But I like this aspect of it. So how can I take this aspect with me in another direction? I mean, the
Yeah.
moment we stop trying, we start dying as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. It's just to get out of your own way. I
Yes.
help my clients a lot with that and just to take those bold risks and to get outside your comfort zone and try new things because you never know how high you can soar.
Again, like with technology, the way it's soaring right now, it's having women behind, as you said, that empathy and a certain moral compass that's with women that's innately in them. Bringing that to the tech is bringing some humanity to the tech,
Yeah.
right?
I always say that empathy is the key to leadership,
Mm,
but taken too far, you neglect yourself and struggle to
yes.
stand up for yourself at work and at home, which can really hurt your confidence.
Yeah. You know, I love C's. I don't love can't. I don't like competition and I don't like comparison, but I love compassion, caring, creativity, all of those C's. And I think when we have compassion, that is our empathy in action.
Yes.
And through that compassion, we actually do see a need, and that need can change tech and what it can do. So it just can give us another form of technology that can help us with that compassionate need.
Yeah, I love compassion, the word compassion and self-compassion, turning
Yes.
compassion inward. It's so easy to be compassionate and loving with our family and friends, but what about turning it inward to ourselves? And if we treat ourselves with love and kindness, that helps us be more resilient and bounce back from setbacks faster and propels us to keep going.
Yes. Why is it that we feel that, we shouldn't put the oxygen mask on or that we shouldn't have passion or empathy for ourselves? And that is a societal thing of who do you think you are? Um, you're only meant to be this, you're only meant to be that. And that again was something that was imposed upon us as a form of control. Um, it seems to be a constantly ongoing fight for women to fight for women's rights in any realm. It's seen as a woman, working woman, women in high places of like tech, government. Um, I had somebody on who was working for government for a long time, and she should have become governor of her state. The people wanted it, but of course the men, just by the skin of their teeth, voted in a man. And it was, but we need that representation because that's the yin yang. And we've really got to look at the yin yang because the yin yang makes everything stronger. You need both sides in there.
No, 100%.
So how do we find that confidence? I don't know anything about tech world because I had a numerous amount of tech problems yesterday. Believe me, I don't know enough. So, um, it does take a different type of brain to work with tech. And as you said, most people are introverted that are working in there. So even them realizing they need this kind of coaching, they need this kind of confidence booster, this turning their eye in not to just what they're capable of doing, but capable of who they're being. Extroverts are constantly looking at how do I better myself. But introverts are gonna, why does that matter? So how do you get your clients to actually understand that it's so important that they invest in themselves in this way?
Yeah, it's well, coaching really is holding up that objective mirror and getting them to see themselves through a new lens.
Mhm.
And just, yeah, realizing that they will show up better for everybody in their life if they look after themselves first.
Yeah.
Yeah, prioritizing themselves. Most of my clients are people pleasers with very high empathy. So it is a struggle to invest in themselves and do the work that's needed. But they see the benefits, they see the results, and it motivates them to keep going.
It's that first realization, I need help.
Yeah.
That's that you can't help anyone until they've made that realization, because that is their, their step forward. And then obviously their free will of whom they choose. But it's realizing that, why am I not getting ahead? Is it just the fact that I am a woman? Um, why can't I speak out? Why do I feel, this lack of confidence? I know I'm more than capable. So it is that embracing that. And if you're asking yourself those questions, then you definitely do need some help. And that's being vulnerable is the greatest gift you can give to yourself. So being vulnerable enough to say, I need help, that's courage, and thank you for doing that for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, not everybody's coachable. Not everybody's interested in
Right.
coaching. The second you say, I need that help, and you realize, well, I don't have to live this way. I don't have to beat myself up. I don't have to have regret for not speaking up at meetings. I don't have to refrain from advancing myself for a promotion anymore. I can live differently and I can take these risks and treat myself with more kindness.
Mm.
That's the first step.
I mean, you've been there, you've done that. You're not coming from a blank slate, right? As I say, the husband off with the nanny. How many times do we hear that? And I'm sure, why didn't I see the signs? Or why wasn't I enough? Why? All those things that we go through when, husbands do that. And then of course that work company that you help form, is still feeling that you're not equal, or you're not heard or seen in there. You had to go through all of those pushbacks,
Yeah.
right? In order to propel you forward. And sometimes we just have to look at stuff and go, okay, this is shitty, but what am I here to learn about it? What am I here to learn about me because of it?
I love that. And I view my divorce as a gift that has
Hmm.
allowed me to focus on personal growth and to discover
Yeah.
my purpose in life. And I was my first client. All
Yeah.
of my confidence building techniques I used on myself first.
Yes. So
And
you
I always,
know they work.
yes, and I always say that confidence is a skill you can build at
Yeah.
any age
Yeah.
and after any setback in your life.
Yes. And the fact it's those setbacks, which I call the reset, the redirect, right? It's resetting you in a direction that you're meant to go in. We're all capable of doing something, but what people don't understand is we're meant to be being someone first. It's your beingness that is doing, not your doingness. That's what you do. When you're not doing it, who are you being? Bring your being to the table and question yourself, am I being or am I just doing?
I love that. And coaching focuses on being and doing. And it's so
Yes.
important. I'm an action taker. I'm always taking action and getting outside my comfort zone and doing all these steps. But yeah, you need to focus on the being as well. And
Yes.
who am I in this situation? And how do I want to show up differently?
Mm. And that showing up differently isn't, suddenly wearing something different or wearing lipstick or wearing all of that. It is like, it doesn't matter if you were wearing a sack, you walk into the room with an air of confidence and that people know, whoa, whoa, something different. There's something different here. And they pick that up. It's that aura, that energetic aura that you now are. And people treat you accordingly. So if you raise your vibration on your own self-esteem, your own self-worth, and that beingness, then people are going to treat you differently because they see you differently.
Yeah. And you have a different energy. You attract people and opportunities to you when you show up that way, when you take the time to invest in yourself.
If you have a technological problem in front of you and you've got to go for every nook and cranny to find out where the problem comes from, because there's no band-aid in technology, right? You got to go to the core. What's the core problem that's causing this tech problem? You're going to give it all the time it needs. So why can't we give all the time we need?
Yeah.
to ourselves.
Yeah, it's so hard when we're running this rat race of life. We're on this
Mm.
hamster wheel, putting out fires constantly. We're
Mhm.
juggling family, juggling work. To take that moment to sit back and stop and question, is this what I want my life to look like? What are my priorities? What are my goals? We so often we don't take that moment to kind of step back and pause and do that inner work and that reflection.
Hmm. Yes, I remember saying when my daughter, when all my kids have left home, then I'll divorce and then I'll do that. And it was actually my kids said, forget that. You're going to do it now. Why wait? And we make excuses as I'll do it later because, and think that we're then just there serving everyone else and we're fine. But no, that doesn't work that way. It's they're better off when you're better off.
Definitely. And it's kind of reminds me of that conditional happiness. I'll be
Mm,
happy when I get that job, when
yes,
I get that promotion, when I find that relationship. But how can you be happy now?
yes. And being happy now isn't oh la la, kumbaya. It isn't any of that. It is going to work, knowing who you are, what you're worth, what your contribution is. It's being able to be seen and not feel that you need to be in the shadows or hide in the shadows. It's being confident in who you are and realize not everybody's going to get you, not everybody's going to like you. That's okay. That's okay if they don't, because we all have preferences. Don't take it personally if someone doesn't like you or doesn't get on with you. It's not a reflection on you. It's just you're not their cup of tea.
Yeah. And it's that showing up authentically. And it starts with learning to love who you are. And that can take a lifetime.
Yes, 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 it can. But that's also exciting because you're always in discovery of self all the time. I've discovered about this about me and I'm capable of doing that. And then it's like I have a need. And in order to fill that need, I've got to discover more about my own abilities and my own self. And that growth goes on with you, hopefully to the day you die, which
Yeah.
makes life exciting.
It really does. And it takes that curiosity and that openness and the willing to kind of stretch beyond what you thought was possible.
Yes. We have no idea what is possible until we attempt, and impossible, I'm possible, right? It's it's look at life as a challenge. Right? Again, if you're in tech, you're going to meet challenges all the time. Even if you're just using tech, like the computer for no reason whatsoever, just shutting down and not going back on again for 24 hours. Who knows what happened there? It did its own thing. We rely so much on tech. We really do. And of course, with AI and everything else now, which I do use, tech frees us up to be something more in our lives. And it allows us to do something more. And I think that's the thing that other people out in the world don't really understand about tech. They look at it and go, oh, the devil's work or this or that. And it's like, do you switch on your TV? Do you have a toaster? Do you have a kettle? All of that was tech, behind it. Um, so Oh, hold on. I am going to be running out of time here. Sorry, but I had tech problems today and everything was blown when my computer went off. And it's going to be doing this with the Zoom as well. But you're going to see a disconnect as it disconnects us and we come back. But that is,
Okay.
again, another metaphor for life. If something clucks down, it's not the scream shout. It's just, okay, what do I need to do to reconnect? Because that's what it is in life. So until it tells me, we'll carry on talking.
Yeah, and it's really how we react to
Yes.
these technical issues or situations that are thrown at us in our lives. Like we have a choice, like between that situation and that response, there's a space. We can choose how we respond. We can react and get all panicked, or we can respond calmly and try to go into problem solving mode, or just see the humor in it, whatever it is. We have a choice on how we
Yeah.
respond to everything.
And when we do that, although it might be irritating, at the same time, it's like it hasn't got the better of us, right? Let go of perfection. We have perfect moments in our life, but we're not meant to live in perfection. And I think imperfection, flawsomeness is perfection in itself because we all have flaws. And when we
Yeah,
glue that cup back together with love, that self-love, that we're even stronger. And that's perfect,
yeah.
right?
Perfectionism comes up in my work all of the
Oh, I
time,
can
and it can
imagine.
really, really hold you back. I need to have the perfectly formed thought before I can contribute to the meeting. I need to have a perfect proposal before I submit it. And it really stalls progress and gets in your way. So the moment you're able to realize that sometimes good enough is good enough
Yes.
and do these impossibly high standards we set for ourselves, it can really help us move forward.
And moving forward is what we need to do, not just, technology is moving forward, folks. There's no stopping it. But how do we move forward and kind of keep up with it? How do we step out into this world? I mean, the world is asking us to change, is asking us to step up into more empathy and compassion for each other. How can we have empathy and compassion for other people if we don't have it for ourselves?
100%. It starts with you, and your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you have in your life. And you
Because
have,
yeah, you're with yourself to the end of your life. So please make your life important. That's essential that you make it important because if you don't, then what we're looking at is a corrupt tech out there, if you could put it that way, that even a virus that keeps on growing and it just kind of diminishes your life completely. So that placement of yourself, that embracement of yourself in all your beautiful flawsomeness and living from a place of compassion and empathy and understanding and self-discovery, discovering about something else about yourself every single day that you didn't know. That's what we're here to do. It's
yeah.
essential that we do.
And I would say we have access to a powerful source of support 24/7. It's
Mm.
you. You can give yourself
Yes,
up.
yes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with giving yourself a me day. There's nothing wrong with giving yourself a hug. There's nothing wrong with saying, I need to do this to nurture me. I have to say no to you right now. Right? Please don't take it personally, but I need to spend some time with me. Or
Yeah.
calling someone up and saying, I need a hug. I need a loving ear right now. We're inclined to hold all our problems in and go, well, no, nobody else is interested. Give them a chance.
Yeah. It is so hard to ask for what we need.
Mm.
Always struggle with this. Like in my new relationships I've had since my divorce, to ask for what I need is so hard. I'm just used to pleasing other people, and to actually put my own needs forward, it's vulnerable and it's scary, but it's
Yeah.
so necessary.
Why do we always feel so scared to ask for things for ourselves? And that's part of societal conditioning. Know
Yeah.
your place. Well, my place is to be happy. What will make me happy? Because when I'm happy, that happy exudes out of me and switches everybody else's happy on. So if I'm unhappy, I need to attend to this.
Yeah, a big part of the work that I do is I empower my clients to set those boundaries, to say no.
Yes,
Sometimes by saying no to something, you can say yes to something that's of a higher priority. It's hard to do. It takes practice, but it's
it
very worth it.
does. It does. And, as a recovering people's person, I do know that there are times still that, I will sacrifice myself where I shouldn't, right? It's a one ball too many trying to juggle. And it's like I've had to say probably no more in my life in the last few years than I ever had. But it allows me to serve who I am here to serve better because I'm not stretching myself so thin and trying to be everything that everybody wants me to be.
Yeah. And we have limited amount of energy to go around, right? So I always recommend people surround themselves with other people who uplift them and make them feel good about who they are,
Yeah.
versus people that deplete our energy and make us feel bad about ourselves.
We've got to understand that when we step up into that higher elevation of self-love, self-respect, self-consideration, that compassion for self, and we fill that cup up, that when that cup runneth over, it benefits everyone else. Inspiration begets invitation. When others are inspired by you, not just what you do, but by you, who you are as a person, they are more interested in what you do and what you have to offer. But we're our own billboard, we're our own advertising. And it isn't about the rah rah, look at me, I'm Barbie. It's look at me as a soul and as a person who has something to contribute. And when we see each other in that way, we see ourselves so differently.
Yeah, and it's setting that example for the next generation. Like I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning when I have my kids and I go downstairs to my Peloton and I have a workout and they know I do that. And I show them that I'm looking after my physical health so that I can be the best mother for them.
Right. And it's being the best woman for yourself that happens to also be the best mother for them
Yeah.
and the best friend for someone else and the best person at the work that you're doing. Because how can you look after someone else if you are struggling and depleted yourself?
Yeah. That's a big
So
part of the work that I do.
imperative, the word of the day, that you invest in yourself because we we may not like something and we may chase everything out there to try and delete something about ourselves. And it isn't about chasing it or trying to ignore it. It's always going to catch up with you. You've got to face it. You've got to face your own inner demons, your own inner pain, your own inner anxieties. You've got to face them because only through facing them can you release them.
Yeah. Yeah. We bought so many times we suppress or bottle up our emotions, and that causes huge health issues. Like we
Yes.
need to process and feel these emotions so they can pass through us.
Pass through. Thanks for the lesson. Bye bye. It doesn't need it needs to move in with you. It's like that unwanted flatmate, you can't get rid of. You don't need to give it the key. Yeah, it's very important to know. And I think it's also important to know when you're in this redirection of self-discovery of whom you have around you. And if you've got people around you that are always counting on you to do for them, and it's draining you, then the biggest thing you want to do is say no to them. It's the scariest thing. But you have to say, at this present moment, I'm taking time for myself. And they will think you're selfish and they will think you're this and they'll think you're all of that. And it's because they're scared to lose you because you're their crutch, right? But, if your crutch is wearing down and you can't be that crutch for them anymore, and who's holding you up?
Yeah, and it's also not an empowering way to lead by doing too much for others. You're not empowering them to find their own way and figure things
Mm,
out on their own.
exactly. Be that inspiration when you kind of take that time for your own self-discovery and whom you come out as at the other end. It's like, wow, how did you do that? Can I do that? Where did you go to get that done? You know? We do it when we see someone's nails or hair, right? Or something like that, but it's that inner work. And we seem to be more touchy about talking to someone about the inner work. But again, that is something is like start the conversation, open up the conversation. Um, People can be critique of you, not critical. But in the sense, yeah, you do that. You say yes to everybody and you don't say no. And, you're feeling. Sorry about that, folks. Yes, I had a tech issue. As I said, my computer went down yesterday and in coming back, it's blown all the links. And so I was on a temporary link and back on the regular link now. But again, that's another thing about life, isn't it? Is that um, sometimes things are just going to not go your way, even in your own self-discovery and your own recovery. And even when you think you've got all the ducks lined up and in order, something's going to come along and cause static or interruption. And it's how we manage that because generally there's a lesson in that, even if it's just about take a breath and be calm. And at the end of it, go, I used to tear my hair out over that. Now I can just smile about it and go on.
Yeah, I always say every setback or circumstance has a gift or opportunity if you look hard enough. There's always a gift. So this is
Mhm.
kind of a little game that my friends and I play. Something bad happens, we'll text each other about it. Then the other person will say, "Where's the gift?" And right
Mm.
away, you get yourself out of the negativity and into
Yes.
this curiosity mindset. What is the gift? Is it learning? Is it growth? Is it some sort of a new awareness? Is it a new opportunity has opened up? But there's always a gift if you look hard enough.
And those gifts are just yummy. They really are. And they come in the most unexpected ways. If we stop and look back at our lives and go, all those lovely redirects, all those things that we thought were, failures, and we look at them, the gift they are, because it put me on this path of self-discovery, put me on this path to where I am today, put me on this path that had I not gone down that street, I wouldn't have met that person. I wouldn't be having this incredible opportunity. How many people miss opportunities because they're too scared to talk with a stranger? And how many opportunities can come from a stranger? Not the deep dark web, folks. I'm talking about just general life, opening up to talking with people.
Yeah, it's about saying yes to those opportunities and even diving in before we feel ready because we're never
Yeah,
going to be fully ready for
yeah.
anything. So jump in.
That's the confidence, though, isn't it? I may not be fully ready, but as we say with everybody, is people are going to buy you before they buy from you. Or want to work with you. And that means that they've got to buy who you are. Are you confident? Do you believe in this? Is
Yes.
this important to you? Because if it is, then I'm going to feel the authenticity. I'm going to feel the genuineness there, and I'm going to want to know more. But if we're constantly living in a facade of expectation, and insecurity, how can we be true representatives of who we really are and be that invitation?
Yeah, it's again, just to not get in your own way
Yeah.
and get outside your comfort zone and take those risks and not be so terrified of failure. As we've talked about before, failure can be a gift, it can be a
Yes.
redirect, it can be feedback.
Yes. Yes. Feedback. Observation. Why did I do that? But what did I learn about it? Or, gosh, look at the door that it opened. Because sometimes we just do things in the moment, which is called the knowingness in the now to do the things. And then we realize, like, I didn't, I never would have done that had this not presented itself and I felt confident enough to open up that door. But, people have got to, at this point, step up and go, okay. I'm aware that I feel insecure. I am aware that I'm not getting ahead in this tech game. I'm aware that I'm apologizing for myself too much. How am I going to do this, Anna? What are you going to do for me that's going to put me on this path, probably for the first time in my life?
Well, it all starts with self-awareness, right?
Mm.
Understanding what are your core values and what areas of your emotional intelligence can you grow even further and how you can stop criticizing yourself and cultivate that inner cheerleader, that voice that propels you to keep going, that is kind to you and treats you with compassion.
It's not a magic pill or downloadable app. It is a process. It is one step at a time. So somebody comes to you and goes, okay, all right, I heard the show. I'm one of those tech people. I'm tired of, the fight all the time, or I'm tired of, feeling less than. How do I find my confidence so I can stand up and be me and be seen? What are my first steps?
Yeah, well, like I said, it would start with that self-awareness. So we could have a one-on-one, I call it a confidence booster session. We chat about the challenge you're facing at work. Is it speaking up? Is it advocating for yourself? Is it dealing with difficult conversations? So understanding the challenge you're facing and then assessing you on 7 areas scientifically linked to confidence. And by doing that, you gain the self-awareness to see how you are holding yourself back. And then you can start to take some steps to move yourself forward and boost up your confidence by kind of seeing your blind spots and
Yeah.
understanding what you can do to get past them.
I think that's a big one is that I'm aware that I feel insecure and vulnerable and I can't hold my own, but I don't know what is holding me back. And by you kind of going through the process of opening up that door, these are the areas that are screaming, these ones are whispering. I was unaware that that is what's happening. And when we're aware and we care, that's when we can make changes happen.
100%. It does start with that self-awareness piece. It's huge. It's
Yeah.
the key to starting your confidence building journey.
And it used to be what you were a narcissist if you thought about yourself, if you were, who do you think you are? And it's like a woman in discovery. That's who I am, right? And I'm worth the journey. And it's been able to say that first time where you'll be able to look in someone's eyes and say, I'm a woman of worth.
Yeah.
And that worth hasn't got anything to do with a dollar sign. It's got to do with the inner abundance of who you are.
Yeah. By nature of you being a human being, you have
Yes.
worthiness. You are valuable.
Yeah, exactly. We need more women in tech. And the only way they're going to get there is to be able to confidently go, these are my skills, this is who I am, and you are going to open the door for me. And the more women that do that, as you said, there are many men advocating and realizing the gift that women are. And, they're the cheerleaders in many ways. They've set that stage for women to walk on. There's still some other areas that are still very closed. But the only way they're going to get open is if there's more than one of you knocking on the door.
Yeah, that's where mentorship comes into play,
Mm,
both having male and female role models at the top in tech who you can learn from. Someone a
yes.
little farther ahead in their career who can mentor you. And the mentor gets a lot from the relationship too. It's not just a
Yes.
one-sided.
Yeah, the mentor gets a great deal because it's always opening up other little cracks and things of awareness for yourself or oh gosh, that's really good. I can incorporate that, in my mentorship. And that's the thing a good teacher learns from the student and vice versa, right? And that's the thing is there's always so much to learn. You're not meant to know it all. That's every day it should be an exploration of something. Let it be an exploration of you in your life, on the journey of your life.
Yeah, and being open to taking on mentees and to learning from a mentor and going out there and networking in your community, building your network that helps with job opportunities, that helps with different promotions, and just kind of seeing what other people are doing and what else is out there for you.
I'm sure when, when your marriage broke down at that time, you didn't see anything ahead of you. Why is this happening to me? And what did I cause it? All those things that we go through as women. But when we've expended all of that emotion and kind of willing to look at ourselves, raw and ready, it is like, well, okay, this next path is entirely mine, right? And it's taking those steps. So all the steps that you use with your students now are the steps that you've applied to yourself. And that if you weren't willing to take that discovery, how could you be the mentor that you are today? Because the best mentorship, the best teachers are those that have lived it. Those
Yeah.
that have lived it, because there's the empathy, there's the compassion, there's the understanding, but also there's the roll up the sleeves. I know what to do.
Yeah, that's why my logo is a phoenix. I needed
Mhm.
to be burned to the ground to become a
Yeah.
better version of me.
Yes. I relate to that one a great deal. I could have left a few ashes behind. But each time it is that rebirth and that rebirth of how come I never knew this about me? Or how come I never knew that about me? And if I had had this same confidence way back, I wouldn't have had to burn to the ground so many times to be reborn because we've been taught to sell ourselves short as women. And that narrative now has been burnt to the ground and ain't re-rising, right? Not rising up at all. We're rising up in the essence of who we are and what we're capable of. And see me as a woman, as a person, as a soul and a heart in any industry, but especially in the tech industry. And get over yourself. I'm coming.
Yeah, to be unapologetically who we are and to set that example for the next generation of women and our children.
That's how we heal the world. There's no magic wand. We've got so much adversity, diversity, hate and disconnect and all sorts of stuff going on in the world. And the only way we're going to heal the world is by healing ourselves, because then we become that frequency, that higher vibration that
Yeah.
is healing of the world. And we then help others along the journey heal. And that beautiful ripple effect, starts resonating out. And we've got to realize as human beings, we've been the problem, but we're also an incredible solution should we shift our whole perspective.
Yeah, and I always say that by being of service to others through coaching, I'm healing the trauma of my divorce.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing about trauma. You'll get triggers. Um, and it's to look at it and go, but I'm no longer there. Thanks for visiting me. You're a reminder of how far I've come,
Yeah.
or an indication that maybe there's somebody around me that's triggering me the same way to avoid that person or just not let that person overwhelm me, whether it's a boss, whether it's an ex-husband or whoever it is. It's it's there to remind you of just how far you've come and how you don't need to be there anymore.
Yeah, and triggers, it's a habitual way of responding to the same trigger over and over in our life. And it creates these deep neural pathways in our brain. So we need to really be active and intentional about creating new neural pathways and responding differently to these triggers. And it all starts with that self-awareness piece, understanding what are our triggers,
Yeah,
what situations really elicit that emotional reaction in us, and choosing to have a more appropriate response to it.
exactly, exactly. Take a breath, pause, have a look at it, and then, don't be reactionary,
Yeah.
but review. Why is it there? What's it trying to tell you? And what are you meant to do with it? And when we can look at those type of things calmly, we then can see the gift in it. Even in the negative emotion, we can see the gift in it, but we can't if we react to it.
Yeah. And it's not easy.
No, it's an ongoing thing that you get better at with age, but it still happens. It
Yes.
still happens. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you're still going to get mad. Let it be momentary, right?
It's
Don't let
about
it be good.
treating yourself with compassion when you do mess up and you
Exactly.
get triggered.
Yes.
You can do better next time.
We all make mistakes, and is learning from those mistakes. That's why those mistakes were made. It's all part of the learning curve. And asking for forgiveness from those that you've done it, like me this morning, getting the time wrong. Thank you for being respect with that, because yes, it was just a frazzled day yesterday that traveled over.
All good.
And but that's also give yourself a break, right? Like you're going to get days that are going to challenge you, and then they're going to fry your computer or fry you, and you're going to go, I gosh, I just, yeah, I have to do this, but and it's like, no, it's okay. Take a deep breath, ask for the forgiveness, and then just go and do. Because when you step into doing in your beingness, everything else gets washed away.
Yeah, I just thought about this tool that I always use. It's perspective taking, right? You can choose any perspective on
Yeah.
anything in your life. And we have this go-to perspective of kind of a habitual way that we've always responded to something. And we don't have to have that perspective. What perspective would serve you the most in this
Yes.
certain situation?
Yeah. It's like in tech having to recode or rewire, right? It's not working as it's working right now. Would you just, leave it not working and then moan and cry and bitch about it, or would you fix it? Right? So this is just fixing a perspective, fixing something in ourselves that isn't working or is out of date and needs an upgrade. Because that's the important thing, the upgrade.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. So, yeah, there's a lot here that we've had to unpack today, which I think is great because it really does show us that there's so much that it doesn't matter whether you're in tech industry or any industry that is male dominated or any industry that is challenging, is who are we that we're bringing? We're not just bringing our expertise. We're not just bringing our capabilities. We're bringing ourselves. Who is it that we're bringing? Because who we are bringing is who they are seeing. And if they're not treating you the way you wish to be seen, then you need to show up the way you wish to be seen.
Yeah. And you can only control you.
That's the only control you have. Only control you have. You're in the driver's seat though. So which lane are you going to drive down, right?
Yeah.
The highway of hell or the beautiful countryside. So somebody wants to take you, you have the one-on-one, do you have group courses? Is it something that you work with them over a period of time? What is your process, love?
So typically, I work with clients one-on-one for about 6 months. So it would start out with a confidence booster session, a free 1 hour session with me. We chat about a challenge you are facing and then assess you on 7 areas scientifically linked to confidence. I also do group coaching for teams and workshops for companies.
Great. So it doesn't matter if it's a company or an individual or solopreneurs or people that are on startups and you want the whole team to go through it so everybody's on the same page.
Definitely.
But coming from the tech world, because you know how to address that, and for women in tech.
Yeah. Yeah, so women in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Right. Because there is a mathematical equation to it, isn't there? You know, the mathematical equation to absolutely everything, that's actually measurable energy. And so you're trying to increase those numbers on their energy of self-confidence, but you can articulate it in a way that they can comprehend in their mathematical equation mind.
Yeah. And it's based on my background building a tech company. And
Yeah.
that's where I saw the firsthand the gender gap in
Yeah.
tech.
Yes. Let's fill that gap, right?
Yeah.
Let's give people the confidence to be able to walk in where any company is going to say, not only are you have you got the credibility of it, but I like who you are and you'll be an asset to the company because you're an asset to yourself. That's
Yes.
the important thing. So most certainly. So how do people get hold of you, Hun?
They can reach me at my website, www.annagradie.com. I'm also very active on LinkedIn.
Right. And you've got a free 5-step confidence booster guide when someone signs up for your newsletter. So if they come back to selfdiscoverywisdom.com and put in your name, Anna, Anna, Gradie, G-R, not, no N, Gradie, Anna Grande, I mean, you must get that all the time. Gradie into the search engine, you'll see her whole show page with all her information on there and actually be able to sign up for the newsletter, which you'll also probably be able to sign up for the newsletter from her site as well. And then you get a 5-step confidence booster guide, which everybody needs a 5-step booster confidence guide because it doesn't matter if you're actually already on the trail. You know, we need those reminders now and again, right? We need those like, aha, right, yes, I walked off that trail a little bit. I need to bring it back. So it's a good reminder and a good booster for anyone along the
Yep.
way. So
Confidence is a skill you can practice.
it is, and it's something that would keep growing, but it also has to be revisited and revised. So don't to forget to do that. Thank you for your patience with me today. I hope that our previous part actually did record. I don't know where it went. So technology, wonderful. Again, patience, persistence, perseverance. But at the same time, it's placing the power within you. Empower yourself, right? The empowerment is not going to come from the outside. People can give you the tools to empower yourself. They can give you the encouragement to empower yourself. That empowerment is in the listen, learn, and apply. So thank you so much for being with us here, to Anna. Good show for going into the new year. And for everyone, who doesn't matter what the business they're in, is to a good reminder to do some self-checking and to really realize if I want to get ahead in life, I've got to get ahead in myself. I've got to embrace who I am, why I am, unapologetically, in all my exuberance and flawsomeness, and step up and show people who I am. So, thank you so much.
Thank
Until
you so
next
much.
time, folks. Bye for now, folks. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.